Hey everybody, welcome to the Age of Grogu, and I've got with me today Elijah. Max hopefully will be joining us a bit later. He's kind of trapped behind on a
What is he
couple of
doing?
things.
Oh, he's
I'm not
just
sure.
busy.
He's just
Errands.
busy. Yeah, he's just busy,
He's
errands,
stuck
whatever.
in California traffic, LA
Pretty much,
traffic.
yeah, could be. And then Jason's got some family things going on. So again, Jason can't make it today, but yeah. Again, it's been pretty quiet in the news, but there's been a few key things that I kind of wanted to talk about. I guess, yeah. What's been going on with you, Elijah? Anything much?
I was working for
Yeah,
quite
go
a
ahead.
while, 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's just slowed down, back
That's
down
cool.
to kind of like just chilling at home, taking care
Right.
of some stuff,
Okay, that's
pushing
cool.
away on making some more miniatures. I'm gonna just decided to do like just make a batch of a couple of them.
Oh, cool.
Just
Very
work,
nice.
some getting all those pieces cut out. So whether it's like ready to be put together or not, like
Mm-hmm.
at least I have everything cut and ready to be glued and
Right.
painted and everything. So
That's cool.
trying to get ahead on some of that stuff. So it's like once I do need to make one, like it can
Yeah, yeah.
snap together quicker.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty quiet. I've been a bit of work, but it's gone quiet again on my end. I guess, I mean, news-wise, again, as I said, there hasn't been a lot in the news recently, but
Comic Con, you're gonna talk about that. I mean, I
Comic
was
Con. Oh
thinking
yeah, we
about
could actually. Yeah, yeah,
going, but I
yeah,
probably won't go.
yeah.
If Max was on here, I was thinking about because I think once we
Right.
went and I just had the one pass, you went in for like an hour and a half,
Mm.
and then I went in
Well,
for an hour and a half.
yeah,
That type of thing. Like if Max wanted to do that, like and he drove, then
yeah.
maybe I would do that. But
Right.
it's just I don't know if it's gonna be worth the money or the time to go out there,
Yeah.
um, because nothing big's happening, and I would only go for preview night anyways.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Because like there really isn't. I mean, everything from Sideshow not going. I guess Hasbro doing a booth there for all the different toys and stuff like that they're doing. But I don't know. I haven't been that impressed with
I mean, to be honest, like
interested in the
it
Hasbro
could
stuff.
make the convention itself better.
Okay.
Um, because when I think the first year I went was either 92 or 93, like a long
Right.
time ago.
Gotcha.
Um, and there were none of that presence was there. I mean, they did have like announcements for shows and movies and stuff like that, but it wasn't like nothing like it is now.
Right.
But on the show floor, there was much more giveaways and swag to like give out
Sure.
and like that type of thing that they could be using.
Yeah. Yeah.
This time they could be using like, okay, we're not putting all these actors up and whatever,
Mm.
but we're
Yeah.
Warner Brothers and we can hand out a bunch of like whatever
Swag stuff.
giveaways,
Yeah.
swag,
Yeah.
contests,
Yeah.
that type
Yeah.
of thing. Because that was like when I was going back in the day, that was like
Yeah.
one of the
The
big
highlight.
draws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one
Totally.
of the big draws that you could go and not
Yeah.
really spend any money, but walk away with like, oh, I won this at this get, or this I got this for free at this booth, and that type of
Right.
thing.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so I could see that bringing back some of the old energy of the convention
Yeah.
because I
That'd
think
be
a lot of
cool.
the
Makes sense.
vendors and the people that go to like bring old merchandise or to sell comic books or to sell
Mm-hmm.
posters or whatever, or the artists,
Yeah.
the individual artist section,
Yeah.
I think they lose a lot of eyes just because they got people waiting in line for like
Yeah.
a day and a half to go into Hall H.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
hopefully that like these, hopefully it's not like a disaster, but it's
Yeah.
like it's nice and it's still a nice convention without having
Yeah.
the presence of the Hollywood system forced
Yeah.
upon it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I meant there's a couple of things I did read. I think it's on Saturday. Babylon 5 is releasing an animated movie with a lot of the original voice actors, including Bruce Boxleitner and all
Right.
that. So I believe they're having a panel now, from what I saw, that was only kind of
Nice.
announced this week. Hey there, Chris. How's it going? And yeah, so yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, but really, there's for me, that's the only thing I'm kind of interested in. I don't recall what else, like Lucasfilm are not there. Warner Brothers are there in a small capacity. Is that right? Obviously, they are because it's
I'm sure the
Babylon
booth
5.
is going to be there, like Warner
Yeah.
Brothers booth or DC
Hmm.
booth, like Image booth. All the
Yeah.
booths are going to be there. I just don't
Right.
think they're taking like their Hall H performance and dropping out all their
Sure.
news, like
Yeah.
all their comic book stuff, all their writers, all of that's.
Hmm.
I think the comic book writers are in a different union than the whatever script writers. Um, but all that should still be present.
That
Like I think it's
that
just the
yeah.
bigger the Hall H, like the bigger movie
Right.
studio actor presence is
Yeah.
not going to be there.
Yeah. I would hope so. That'd be really cool if they actually do announce the ghost from for the at least for the Ahsoka series,
There you go.
which is the Millennium Falcon of the Rebels animated series. Basically, the ghost is an awesome ship. I would hope so. It'd be nice to see them make that, and I've heard rumblings and rumors that they might be doing that, and it may be bigger than any other Millennium Falcon based ship that we've had so far. Again, it's we'll see. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. But I would probably put in for that. Like that would be something I would really love to get. I love the ship. I love the characters. And as for Ahsoka, we are like what 51, 52 days away from. I'm counting the days. I'm counting the days. I cannot wait to see Ahsoka. I'm so like I have not. I think
Ahsoka yourself waiting.
Well, no, great. No, but the thing is that with Ahsoka, though, Elijah, I mean, I know you never really watched the animated shows so much, but you understand enough about them. You've obviously seen.
I get it. I get it. I know you're jazzed about it. I'm just giving you a hard time.
But the actual just the idea of seeing these characters in live action, from who were just animation a few years ago, the hype behind everything from Kenobi to Andor to all these other shows that came out. Ahsoka was my number one hype, even above Kenobi, and this is even before it released. It didn't do as well as we had expected. Ahsoka is purely Dave Filoni's baby. He's been there from the beginning. He's been there from George's era, from 15 years ago of the Clone Wars. He understands this character for 15 years. So to see what he does with this character in her own story, I think is personally going to end up by being the most. It's not just one of the most anticipated, but it is one of the most. It could very well be one of the best pieces of work that the TV show could produce.
I hope so. I mean, Mandalorian 1 and season 1 and 2 of season 1 was standout. Season 2 was good.
I agree there.
But yeah, hopefully it's amazing. And Rosario Dawson, I mean, she's a perfect pick for that character.
She's awesome.
It's like perfect casting.
No, she's great. She's been. I mean, it's crazy how much her life has blown up in the last couple of years with all the fantastic.
Just her career in general is pretty crazy.
Yeah, no, totally.
She was in Kids, man. She was in that movie Kids. I know you don't know that movie, but
Kids?
She was in Kids.
I don't know it. I don't really.
Crazy.
Was that a Disney film?
No, it's a very like dark, realistic like.
Oh really?
It's called Kids. It's like kids, teenage, 13, whatever, 14, 16 years old, living in New York or Brooklyn or whatever.
Okay.
It's just very raw and like it's crazy. But anyway.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
It's me, Casper.
Okay. Fair enough. Jumping onto a few small little tidbits. Looks like we've got more or less a kind of a final cast of characters for the new Captain America: Brave and the Bold series. This appears to.
Oh, I'm like, which way's Superman?
I'm like, well, no, we haven't got that. No. Yeah, wrong Brave and the Bold. Wrong. It's actually.
I thought the guy with the beard on the bottom was Aquaman, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if there's an official title for it. It may change between now and when it comes out. But
look, Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I'm of the rat hole.
Hey, sucked. How's it going? Kids 95. No, I haven't seen it. I'll have to check it out. But
it's not your type of movie. I can tell you right now.
Is it Brave New World? I can't remember.
You won't like Kids.
I won't like Kids.
You won't like it.
Fair enough.
That is not his type of movie.
Fair enough. But yeah, looks like obviously we've got what's his name as Captain America, Falcon. Why have I forgot his name?
It's written down there real tiny.
Yeah, it is. It's really tiny. Yeah, I complete mental block. Oh my god.
The guy.
Yeah, the guy.
Guy.
Yes, but looking at the characters though, it looks like we've got Ishar Bradley in it, which is going to be interesting. He was the character introduced in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and you know which one it was. The other the TV series. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah. So that's going to be cool. We'll get to see more of that character. Obviously, we've got Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. we'll see. I'm going to assume he's going to turn out as being Red Hulk at one point. And I'm sure Max is here. He could tell us more about these other characters. Well, we've got Betty Ross back as well. So yeah, all these other all these other actors or characters. I don't know who some of these are, but there's a new Falcon by the look of it. So
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. I guess this
yeah.
is on.
Either way, I mean, I'm excited for this film. I loved obviously they're not putting in Winter Soldier there, so Bucky Barnes doesn't look like he's going to appear in this, which I kind of thought he might have, but looks like they're breaking
Maybe
away
they throw
from
him in there for one episode or something.
Maybe he'll just guest appearance, but either way, I'm kind of excited for that. They also this week released a trailer for Dune Part 2, an extended full trailer, like a 3-minute trailer, I think it was, or something. Did you see the trailer yet?
Yeah, I watched it this morning.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I mean, I very much enjoyed the first one, and I'm very excited to see where this story goes. I mean, apart from what we saw in the original 80s film, I really I don't know how the original novel went in comparison to that story, and how much they might have changed. But we did get our first look at
Christopher Walken
as a character in the
This
movie as well. Yeah, and he's always fun to watch. I enjoy a bit of a Christopher Walken some appearance from somewhere.
He's good in anything. Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
What is he bad in? Nothing. Not bad in anything.
Yeah, pretty much. No, he's not. He's fun.
Yeah.
He's fun. He always plays that same kind of character too, but it's like he's very character.
It's like whatever. Jeff Goldblum's always going to be Jeff Goldblum. It's just put Christopher Walken in it. He's going to make it better. Like even if he's playing, even if he's Christopher Walken, like he only talks one way. Like very seldomly does he like act differently.
Yeah. Now this is a piece of news that I don't know like how official this is. This is kind of a weird thing. But Warner Brothers Discovery is negotiating a deal to sell their less than half of its film and music publishing assets, approximately $500 million, including the Batman titles. Sony is said to be in the lead to acquire Warner Brothers deal.
What?
Yeah, I question that. Like that's huge.
That can't be right. Why would Warner Brothers give up any of their DC stuff?
Yeah.
Why would they want to separate it like now? Like that's like the whole problem that like Marvel still has is like giving away the rights to some of their characters. Like why would DC want to give away Batman?
It makes
especially at this point, like,
and
they're like revamping like everything. Like why would they do this?
Yeah, I have no
idea.
Where'd
that come from? Where'd that?
You know what? I found it somewhere, but I was just
FakeNews.com?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's fake news. It was definitely from. Oh wait, where did I find it? Hang on a second.
Truth Social.
What? No, not really. Either way, it was. You know, it might have been through. Oh, it's through Variety. That's it, Variety magazine. Yeah. So it was. Yeah, it was official. Yeah.
What are you smoking?
Yeah, but that's it. I knew I saw it somewhere. Duh. Variety. It seemed. That's why I pulled it up. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. I've not heard that before, but
that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody else talking about that either. That seems like big news.
Yeah, but even worse, it's like if it was Sony that picks it up, it's like that's like giving something that's going bad to something that's going worse. I mean, it's weird.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's again, who knows what Warner Brothers Discovery got plans for doing. They're kind of all over the place, and I feel like they're going to be more damaging to Warner Brothers down the track than we could have imagined. So, yeah. But yeah, hey there, Malay. How you doing? So there's that. Also, other news this week. Star Wars news here. They started showing some. They've been shooting Andor season 2, and they've actually dropped a few images of some shooting locations that they're currently shooting at. And this happens to be at Hever Castle, where they shot some of the Naboo scenes from episode 1.
Nice.
So I think Andor's going to be...
Same location?
Yeah, some of the same locations, stuff like that. Looks like the ceremonial, kind of out the front of the palace kind of stuff. I got a feeling that they're going to be going to Naboo in season
Oh,
season 2.
no, boo.
What? No, I
No,
want to
no,
know.
boo.
Yes,
Don't go
boo,
underwater
yes,
in the
boo,
boo.
yes, boo,
Fine.
yes, boo.
Go into the boo. Just
No.
don't go into the water.
We're gonna get you to watch and like the prequels, Elijah. We're gonna get you to sit
Give me
down
the
and watch.
Clockwork
I'm
Orange
gonna
treatment
force
where
you
it's
to
just
sit
like,
down and stretch your eyes open and watch the prequels again.
oh my gosh, that is like killing me.
No, it'll be interesting. We actually haven't really gone back to Naboo with the exception of the animated shows. So it's the first time I'm going to see Naboo in live action
No
for quite some
boo.
time. Naboo.
No boo.
Naboo. And I'm curious to see what what story arc plays out there. Obviously, it's well after Amidala, Dala's gone. But we also, Palpatine comes from Naboo, so it's like there's got to be. It'd be nice to know what the story is going on there, especially in the Andor era during the Empire, as to how that's going to play out and what ends up by happening to Naboo. I mean, is it going to be torn apart? Is it just going to be left alone? I don't know. We'll find out.
I'm like his dad, apparently. And I won't get along with Star Wars theory.
That's fine.
It's not that I don't mind about any of that stuff. It's just the movies are not entertaining and not good. And I don't need to rewatch them because I've seen them before.
Yeah, 20 years ago, but anyway.
Yeah, it's just...
Fair enough. We'll definitely get you.
My Star Wars consists of the world is narrow. I'm looking through binoculars like this. I want to see what I want to see.
Fair enough. Yep.
Leave out some stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah, leave some
stuff. Secret Invasion this week. What were your thoughts on the episode? We did a reaction video to it, and
good. The first episode definitely hit harder than the second. Like,
I agree.
The first episode felt very full and like, wow, this seems like a great movie.
Yeah.
And the second one, I'm like, have to kind of remind myself of like
what happened in the episode.
What happened in the episode, because it wasn't like it didn't end with a cliffhanger or anything like that. But
I think for the most part we got more insight as to the Skrulls, and it was also an episode about the Skrulls.
It makes sense. It's like next episode will probably be a banger, and then like they do a roller coaster of like storylines.
Yeah. Well, they kind of set up the whole Skrulls in the background and the layout that they're unwelcome. I mean, it's really turning out to be an immigration story, right. And we're getting this whole overload of immigrants that came in from another world that previously we didn't realize. What Nick Fury thought was only a couple of hundred, 10,000 or something like that, and it turns out to be over 1 million of them are on the planet now.
Right.
So, I mean. In the sense of the word invasion, does it mean that it is trying to create this immigration invasion or is it going to be really a physical invasion of all of the Skrulls, joining up against, humanity to take on a new planet? I don't know. I still don't know where this is going as a story, and I don't know really the original arcs.
The original, they never stick to the storyline comic book.
Yeah, they don't.
Anyways, they always gonna like take that and run with it, like, this storyline, and make their own, plot, make their own decisions in the story. But I'm liking it. It's like, obviously, I don't want to guess too much of like what's going to happen. I just like to watch the story fall out naturally. But I'm happy with it so far. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, new episode this week. We'll obviously do another reaction this week and see where it goes. I mean, it has been a little bit of a pickup since, from the last couple of series, and at least for the last couple of movies, because I still enjoyed Miss Marvel, and I'm still excited to see the Marvels movie. But this is the first time I've been excited about something in the MCU for at least a little over since halfway through last year.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it's picking up on the serious side of things again, which is kind of fun. But again, it's like I'm still marveled out, so that's where it's going.
Whatever, it's just superhero movied out. Like a lot of this stuff, it's like,
Yeah,
it just whatever. You need the next good one to like really like revive it. Like you're going hoping, oh, maybe this one will be good. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Still better than what we had when we were growing up. It's better than
oh, dude, do you remember
movies that we had when we were
TV shows?
The
even
old Captain America movie on TV or whatever. It's like old Spider-Man on 70s
we're talking from the
or whatever.
80s here and stuff like that. Yeah,
still even the 90s, even like whatever they had the old 90s, Lois and Clark, and whatever.
Some of those are fun at the time, but they definitely felt that they were definitely dated very badly.
Right. It's just like if we got what we, we're just not. We got spoiled.
Actually, complete side note, because I just finished watching the season finale of Superman and Lois. But yeah, if I'm going to tell you to watch a Superman story, season 3 of Superman and Lois, you could probably, for the most part, just jump in as a season. It's the most emotionally impacted series and story arc around the Superman. Yeah, it's actually. I mean, it's only 13 episodes long.
Because the guy that's playing Superman there, I don't know who he is, and I've seen a few pictures of him, but I don't know how he plays Superman and how that all works.
Tyler Hutchison, I think his name is. He's incredible. I mean, he was part of the Arrowverse. Then they kind of did not even a spin-off. They just simply broke it away, and they reset everything after they did the what's it called, Crisis on Infinite Earths in the CW series. And then Superman kind of just broke away from Supergirl and all those other characters. They introduced the Lois Lane actress, Bitsy, I can't remember her last name, but she's amazing too. And performance-wise, season 3 is the best performance of a Superman story and a Superman arc I think I've ever come across in live action. I mean, the animation stuff is still, story-wise, I love the animated stories that they did from the Superman animated series.
Series is great.
But this is,
take that for what it is, the cartoon, and they're able to do more, and it's on a different level because of the cartoon.
Yeah, but they did introduce their version of the Lex Luthor in the last 2 episodes, and I think season 4, which probably will be its last, since they were narrowed down to just 10 episodes next season, and they've lost most of their secondary cast members just because of budget. But they are keeping on the actor who played Lex Luthor, Michael Chillis, I think his name is. He played Abraham in The Walking Dead, redhead guy. But he's really good. I mean, I think I mentioned last week, but he's playing the very thug version of Lex Luthor, and he's just this thug who's actually been wronged, probably for the first time ever, and now he's going to have this vendetta against Lois Lane. And so they kind of pulled on a thread from season 2 arc, where Bizarro was actually on Earth at this point in time, and I won't say where it goes, but the end of season 3 sets up a very interesting situation for season 4, knowing what we know in the comics at least. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, but it very well could be the end of the show after season 4, because Warner Brothers Discovery are pulling the plug. Well, they've pulled the plug on every single CW show except for this one, in the DC universe. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, that little last sequence.
Well, that's kind of just because they're tying everything together with this new DC run, right?
Maybe. I think this is still its own little thing, and again, I don't know where it's going to go, but these cast members are phenomenal, and I can't express enough. Have we been watching The Boys? Anchorman, I know you've only said you just started watching it, but yeah, we've followed all 3 seasons, and I think we've all enjoyed it. You've seen it, Elijah, right?
Yeah, I think I stopped watching mid-season 2.
That's it. Elijah's not a huge fan of TV serials, so it's a little hard for him to get into it.
Maybe I went and pushed through and watched all of season 2, but I know I'm not caught up.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I did it. I enjoyed the first season and the first season and a half, but at a point it's just like
I don't mind binge watching.
Stale after a while.
I don't mind binge watching that kind of a show, and I
Yeah,
get
I
into
guess
it
I
as
just
long as
feel
I
like
can get through it pretty quickly, and
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
did with
I
this.
should do that more
Yeah,
often because I just end up
yeah,
rewatching the same stuff over and over again.
yeah, yeah.
And when I could be
Or
binge
or
watching a
you
show,
forget the threads. I like
yeah,
to keep the
yeah,
threads fresh in my head when I'm watching. But
yeah.
The Boys season 3 was great too, and so yeah, Anchorman, let us know your thoughts on The Boys. I know season 4 is being shot right now, and they've had some promos and stuff for it, but I don't know when that gets released. Later this year, I think. But I'm curious to see how season 4 plays out. So yeah, Superman Legacy. They have cast, or James Gunn has cast his
So they
lead
keep
actors.
referring to this one photo as
Yeah.
because this is Superman.
Yes.
I'm going blank on it. The name of that book.
Um, the
Birth?
yeah.
No, not
It's
Birth.
no.
Anyways, that
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
comic book run that storyline was really
Right.
good.
It's the oh, can anyone in the chat remember? It's the comic
I
book
mean, I
run
have it
is
right here. I don't know why
oh
I'm
yeah.
looking at it.
Do I like the casting? I don't know the cast members, but they feel like they're fresh to me. We've got David Cornsweet, yeah, and Rachel Brosnahan. That's I think I said this right. Who are playing both Superman and Lois Lane.
It was a good
Um,
casting. I like both those. I mean, both those.
yeah,
The Superman looks great. Lois
yeah,
Lane, I can buy that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, until I really see, you know, what the performance is like, I'm sure there was something in their performance. Obviously, the looks look good. I can go off what they look like. Um, there's definitely David kind of looks definitely like a bit of a cross. I don't know. This photo, he looks more like uh, uh, current Superman.
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill a little bit. But in other photos I've seen him in, it looks like he's like the birth child of Henry Cavill and Christopher Reeve. He's got that kind of weird in between in my
A
visions.
double man,
So
baby.
double man. I didn't mean it like that, but
Mash up. What do you mean?
yeah. Sucks says both of them are great actors. Yeah, I haven't really seen any of their performances. I haven't. I think she's from A Fabulous Miss Maisie. I haven't actually watched that show, but I hear it's very good. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're getting news coming up soon, hopefully, on who their Lex Luthor is going to be. There's a couple of
We don't know anything about the
speculations.
storyline. I'm assuming it's.
Well, the storyline is going to be oh, what are they called? Damn it! I know I've got the animated story there as well. Wait a minute. Now I'm gonna have to double check
Did
exactly.
they say what the
It must
storyline was going to be based on?
hang on a sec.
Because legacy implies.
Yeah,
I don't know what that implies, but it seems like this would be more of like a
yeah,
restart over tale of like the whole intro, Superman, a whole like basically an origin story or a reintroduction to Superman.
yeah. It will be. Sorry, I'm just trying to legacy. What's the name? It's basically Superman's heritage. But from what I understand, they've already established superheroes on Earth. So we're going in, and I think James Gunn's even said that with Blue Beetle, that that Blue Beetle technically is going to be the first of this new run of story arcs. So if we're setting up characters that are already established as superheroes on Earth, and Superman is the strongest superhero of all, I think that's going to be an interesting take as to what happens when you've got some mediocre superheroes that are out there, but then you suddenly get dropped this mega superhero who is, as I said, considered the most powerful superhero of all time in the universe, and how that's going to play out and what that's going to mean. I mean, will there be a resentment to this character? I mean, there might be resentment to Superman. We don't know. So I'm kind of curious to know how James Gunn is going to write that. He is very good at writing ensembles with other characters.
Yeah.
And there are other superheroes based in this story arc he has mentioned. I don't think any of the casting has actually been done yet. Oh, what is it? It's not Legacy. No, what are they? what is the Elite? Is it the Elite?
Elite?
No, maybe not the Elite.
Are you talking about a specific storyline?
Yeah, I know there was a hang on, based.
Superman for All Seasons. That's the one that picture is from.
Okay, right.
Is that right?
Yeah. Superman Legacy was All Star Superman. That's it. I knew it was, yeah, by Grant Morrison. Is what it's supposed to be based off of. So yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how that takes place. I know I've seen the animated movie of it, but I can't remember enough about it. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure if Max is here, he'd have some more thoughts and on the casting. But yeah, I mean, at the moment, to me, it's just it's a couple of young actors that look the part. I'm curious to see how it all plays out. So we'll see. So at this point, I mean, again, it's like, kind of a quiet day, not much news. I'm going to go into Indiana Jones a little bit. I don't want to go into any spoilers because I know you haven't had the chance to really see the film yet.
I had to dip out 45 minutes in.
It really sucks. So Indiana Jones.
Whatever. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm not going to talk about any spoilers whatsoever. I think it's also fresh in the weekend. I did kind of want to talk about what's going on in the box office right now. It didn't do incredibly well.
That's the other thing I was going to say. It's like just looking at like shows today and tomorrow, like seats are relatively open. It's not like completely sold out for like a holiday weekend.
Yeah,
it's like what?
Yeah,
is it? And then I keep, I'm seeing some things like on YouTube or whatever, like good and bad, like their main whatever title they're using for their video. I'm like, I don't know what to make of it because from what I saw, I liked it. I liked the setup of where it was going.
Well, right now it's only making, by the end of today, it's only going to make $60 million domestically, and internationally, it's going to make about $130 million globally, including the international, including the domestic box office, which is really, really low for a Indiana Jones film, and B, I kind of want to sit down. I kind of want to break down what what thoughts are on not just Indiana Jones, but obviously The Flash didn't do too well. Transformers, which is normally done okay, didn't do too well, and it dropped very quickly. And there's multiple things going on here, I think, Elijah. I think obviously since COVID, there's been a whole different way about looking about how we watch stuff. Obviously, people can sit down in their couch and stream movies much quicker than they came out the box office. I think that in some of these genre films, people are just getting tired of franchises. But then on top of it, I feel like there's a generational change. And of course, our generation, we grew up on Indiana Jones, and it's not as big of a generation for the younger generations to follow, stuff that we liked, obviously. And so they're not going out of their seats to sit down and necessarily watch these movies. Right. When I went and I've seen the film twice now, and in both times, both ages are about my age. Obviously we're the generation of,
Oh, you're saying the majority of the audience?
Yeah, majority of the audience. But here was the weird thing. The first time I saw it on the opening day on 4:00 on Thursday afternoon, a lot of the audience who were my age bought more of their daughters, who were probably about the age of 10 to 12, maybe 14, were the ones that were coming in. There was not a lot of boys being brought in. And it was interesting to me that girls resonated towards the Indiana Jones character. And obviously with their...
whatever female characters in it.
Yeah. And it was kind of interesting to see that it was actually resonating for young girls rather than young boys. Because back in the day, Indiana Jones was the action hero adventure, and boys resonated towards the hero adventuring stories over, younger girls in the 80s, it seemed. Not to say that they totally were not, but it was just this weird, transition, change, and shift in dynamic about who an audience is now for a genre film. So I'm wondering whether it's just like there's this shift in interests, a shift in dynamics, or whether it's all of these things. Is it a little bit of the fact that COVID changed our thought process about how we want to watch a movie now? Is it that, along with people are now tired of these blockbusters? And the last thing I want to mention there is that we've had this summer blockbuster after blockbuster dropping almost a week apart from each other in the last month and a half or so, and it's not given these big movies to breathe and give them
breathing
a chance
room,
to
a little
breathe
break in between.
Yeah,
it's just backup from. It's still backup from the last couple of years.
Oh yeah.
Like Flash should have come out like a year and a half ago.
Well, that's it exactly. Yeah.
So there's still some backup. I'm sure that this Indiana Jones could have been released sooner as well. So.
Yeah, I kind of with this, the IPs are worn out and they need to be put back on the shelf for a while. Well, the Flash did get put back on the shelf for a while, and it still didn't resonate. I'm not going to say the Flash was
didn't work on the CG while it was on that shelf.
They could have definitely worked on the CG while they were. Yeah.
It was just sitting on a shelf. They could have been spending the extra money.
Yeah, but the cost of the cost of making a movie today, it's said that the Indiana Jones film was in the range of just under $300 million to make, and it may not make that back in the box office. And most of that money, people, I saw something, and I don't know how true it was. If Raiders of the Lost Ark was made today, it was $20 million back in the 80s. If it was made today, it would be $66 million. And it's still, people are saying don't put as much money into a feature film. It's like, no, it's more than just that. It's not just a matter of the pay and paychecks and all that sort of stuff, and the amount of people you bring in. It's also about the fact that unions put all these weird fees that didn't exist, and there were all these other fees that didn't exist on filmmaking 30, 40 years ago. And because of all these different fees, that ups the price of how much any company has to spend on making a feature film. So you've got that to put on top of it. But the film was not a bad film. I enjoyed this movie. Again, I'm not going to talk spoilers on it for those who have not seen it. But I enjoyed it. I thoroughly had a good time about it. It felt like an Indiana Jones film from beginning to end to me. And a great majority of the audience that I've seen through Twitter has had the same experience that I have had. Critics obviously panned it down, and I'm trying to understand what kind of film the critics saw, because Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny hit all the right beats, and Indiana Jones film should hit. The only thing I would say is it felt a little long, and it was longer than a normal indie film, and that might have been a little bit of a drag for some people. But the second time I watched it, that drag didn't exist. I actually enjoyed it more the second time watching it, the film, than I did the first time, and I still enjoyed it a lot the first time. See,
and
okay.
The deep fake at the beginning, I didn't mind that. Right. I thought it looked pretty good. A lot better than other stuff. And because it wasn't just for a quick moment and they let it run, it's like your eye gets used to it. Like, obviously, it's not Harrison Ford. You know that but like.
Actually, Elijah.
I'm sure it was, but like,
it actually was Harrison Ford.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's like.
It was. I talked to my friend who worked on the film.
He went through all that stuff, but like the digital effects that they put on it, like is never going to look. I mean, obviously, never going to look amazing, but it's looking better and believable. And I thought that looked a lot better than. So I mean, the Flash was horrible. Like
let's
refreshing to like.
Yeah.
Let work, and I think they used things to their advantage of like having him cast in shadows and the lighting that they used during all that sequence and everything. And plus, it was entertaining, that whole like chase thing.
Oh no, the whole chasing was great. I loved it.
Keep you entertained and like not worry about like you know, deep fake Indiana Jones walking around.
See, the deep fake didn't take me out of the story. If something technological is going to take you out of the story, it means the story's not strong enough to pull you in the first place. I'm pretty forgiving of a bad visual effect if the story is really pulling me in. And it happens sometimes. But in this particular case, I didn't see anything wrong with it. The technology is the best, and it's getting better. I mean, people go along. what, 5 years ago, Rogue One, and they're complaining about, and this is when they did use CGI on recreating Grand Moff Tarkin's face and Princess Leia's face in Rogue One. You saw that people complained about it. Well, and then they put out there, get the deep fake guys to do these visual effects. So what does Lucasfilm do? They get the deep fake guys to do these visual effects. Now they're complaining again. Oh, it doesn't look real, it looks fake. Your eyes are automatically going to pick something that's off or different automatically if you're going in looking for it.
Or if you know that, like, Harrison Ford can't age himself backwards 30, 40 years.
That's it. Yeah. And
you know, like,
you realize
it's just like, well, that's not, it's not Harrison Ford now. It's like, oh,
so the question is, what do these people, what do people want when they say that it looked bad? It looked bad because they went in expecting it to be something they can pinpoint to look at, or do they go in saying that, you know what, this is the technology at its current state, I'm going to have to let that go and enjoy the story of what I'm watching right now and try to not let it pull me out of the actual event, because right now technology is only going to be what it's going to be. I mean, come on, you go back to Empire Strikes Back and you look at the stop motion on the Tauntauns running across and you can see every shattered movement and everything like that. And again, it's an art form, no different to what CGI or what deep faking somebody's face is like. It's an ever-changing art form that tries to better upon itself. And if they want to tell the story that actually involves that, using that technology, then it's really just a matter of accepting it is what it is at that point. Now, of course, a lot of people turn around and go, well, why don't you just recast young Indiana Jones with a different actor? The thing is, we know what Harrison Ford looked like at that age.
Whatever.
You can't, if you go back before 1935 and you cast the younger version like they did for the young Indiana Jones Chronicles, or even Last Crusade, where we see
to be younger than
that's it.
River Phoenix and
River Phoenix or
younger
Sean
than
Patrick
that.
Flanery.
That's different person. You're like, oh, he aged
completely.
into looking like.
But the reality is it's been established, and so I credit Lucasfilm for actually keeping the look of the characters we know at that age. You know, Luke Skywalker looked like Luke Skywalker. I would have felt differently in not necessarily a positive way if we got a different actor playing Luke Skywalker. It didn't matter how close we got. It wouldn't be Mark Hamill's looks.
Whatever.
Yeah,
like at least you're like, okay,
that would be more jarring to me. Than slight
like,
CGI
that's
or deep
CG
faking.
Mark Hamill that looks pretty good. And you're like, oh, that's a guy that just looks a lot like Mark Hamill, but is not Mark Hamill. Like, who is this guy? Like, not. It won't. Still, same difference.
Yeah, but it's like, sucked. You're right. The entire body, we see that obviously in The Flash, both the TV show and the feature film. I was about to see the animated movie. But when they do a full body reproduction, I agree. It looks fake. And the other thing I want to add on top of this, there's something else that's happening that wasn't there, before the prequels, really. The digital age of the camera, the digital camera. People would watch a movie and it was printed on film and they would do their visual effects through film and it would be replayed back through film. So there is a softness there in film that film produces that feels more natural to the human eye. And the moment that the technology of the cameras came up to digital, and then you mix that with a digital visual effects, there is a hyper realism there that feels off. And our eyes proceed and pick it up differently than we would if it was just a live action piece shot on film and then blended in. Obviously the cost is much more expensive to print it on film and reproduce it and bring it back that way. So I feel like there's also this visual thing of our optics on how we perceive and look at a style of digital film and the way it's been influenced by CGI or even just a straight out scene. People went through when the first trailers of Dial of Destiny came out. People said that shot looks so fake and so CGI. The guy on the motorcycle driving through the street. James Mangold himself goes online and says, "I'm sorry to correct you, but that was all shot on camera. What looked weird was that it's shot as on digital film, on digital print, and people's eyes perceived it, whether it was cleaned up or whether it was post, whether it's enhanced, cleaned up.
Digital,
yeah, it's easier to manipulate, and because the manipulations have been added, and granted, yes, we know there's a lot of the ticket take stuff that came down in that shot. I'm going from the trailer. We see that it's a ticket take parade of sort in New York City, and there's stuff added to it. But the actual footage of the guy on the bike was real, shot on that street and shot in that scene. But it's the perception of how people perceive the digital technology of the film itself, not the visual effects enhancing it, or the cleanup or the post colorization or whatever it may be. So yeah, it's got a. Oh, see you later, Belay. That's cool. Thanks a lot. But yeah. So those things always have to go into account, and with any film being made now this day and age, obviously we see stuff with practical effects. Some of the best visual effects, in my opinion, still are practical effects that are enhanced with a bit of CG, and you don't know enough, can't tell off. And there is definitely a nice blend in between all that. It doesn't happen that often. When it does, it's quite beautiful to see. I find obviously landscapes are quite beautifully done and that sort of stuff, but it still is a situation of when we do anything enhancing a human character or someone we know that should be and look and move a certain way, and whether the technology still hasn't caught up or whether it's just getting better every time we see it, and some of us choose not to be intimidated by it, people are going out of their way to be also intimidated. And so it's kind of like it's disappointing that Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is not getting box office numbers right now. A, because of a critical response to one single film festival in Cannes, which gave a lot of negative responses to. But the general public especially at my age, are enjoying this, but it's also not appealing or pulling in the younger generations right away. So it's this weird, I don't know. I mean, I went to dinner with a friend of mine who worked on the film last night, and we were just talking about this a little bit, and nobody knows the answer. That's the thing. There is no direct answer. It could be all of these things that we're talking about today. It could be something we haven't figured out or whatever. But the audience is changing on a constant change, whether it's the influence of sitting at home, watching it on the couch of a seat and just choosing to wait a few months, not wanting to pay a price of a movie ticket to see this, or whether it's been congested with just bombarded with too much action adventure, sci-fi, superhero stuff, and people need the escape. But I don't know. It's a very tough response. If anybody out there has any other thoughts on that, please let us know what your thoughts are, because the reality is, I think it's a little of everything.
I think it's a little of everything too. Yeah, just everything, just whatever.
But then here's the weird thing. The other thing I want to point out, Elijah, is 2 movies came out this year that have done better than any other film out there this year, and both of them are animated films. The Super Mario Brothers movie is over $1 billion.
And Spider-Man, yeah.
And Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Both of those. Now, Across the Spider-Verse, granted, the first film had an amazing response to the star. In fact, that was a slow burner too. That didn't build up the amount of attention and viewability for some time after it got released.
Right.
And that definitely drove an audience to seeing the sequel. But it also, both of those movies were a solid story.
Yeah.
And is that what is lacking in the superhero movies these days? Is it what is lacking in, or what people are looking for in a lot of live action genre films? Are they looking for that and not getting, or feeling they're not getting that to warrant a repeat viewing? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, just political. I don't know. It's a lot of things. I would say like movies are definitely catering to a different audience than trying to be politically correct and trying to like, you know, there's less.
Yeah, there's that too.
Less. I don't want to say less. Openness to kind of like do the movie however they want. Like they feel that like every big studio, okay, well you have to do it this way. You have,
right.
You know, they're just more politically correct storylines and characters and
right.
All of that stuff. Just in every form. I would think that like, I think some movies are getting held back from being made because it's like, oh, this is too edgy, when really it's maybe necessarily not. It's like, I don't know if I'm saying that in the right way, but it seems like a lot of movies are like kind of just the same, like story-wise, tone-wise, like you don't really have the experimentally type of like genre film or whatever that's like, you know, obviously led by a director's vision and not being interfered by studio heads and producers and, you know, whatever, like making toys and like all of those logistics of like what they need in a movie now.
Sure.
Yeah. I think that has a lot to do with it too. It's like, well, they've got their hands tied so far back, like they're forced to make a movie in this said direction or this said feeling of film or whatever, and it just comes out being a little, not having that like little spark of magic to it because it's so forced of like, you have to do it this way type of thing.
Is it does it go right back to pre-production though? Do you think this is you get long enough to write a solid enough script, and
I think it's a long trail. Sure.
Then you're going to have a better viewing audience for something like
for sure.
Everything like, Everywhere All at Once was an original story, a small story that came in with a very solid script,
but also from a small studio, and like that's kind of what they're going for, and like they were looking for something like that, you know, obviously.
So does that then go back to, is the genre films not necessarily dead, but not going to make their money back on the fact that
not when you have someone like A24 like choosing, okay, this is a solid thing. We don't care how crazy it is. Like people, the audience will find it, and the audience will appreciate it because it's bizarre and like not the norm right now.
Yeah.
All these bigger movies, Hollywood movies, it just feels like they have to, in a season of filming, in a season of time and everything that we are right now, it just feels like consciously like, you know, just like if you would go back and look at movies from the 80s, like a lot of the 80s have similar type of feel and like feel to them. It's just a different time.
Right.
So it feels like if things are a little bit stagnant, it's just because of a lot of those reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's, again, I think it's an ever-going conversation. I mean, you also took it yeah, I agree. They're killed. They've done a few good things. I haven't seen the latest film that they dropped. The one with the Asian couple that was what was it about? It was a love story of some sort. There was a trailer on TV I saw, but it looked good, and it's been getting some good reviews too. But you also look at something like, you know, John Wick 1 came out a couple of years ago, and it wasn't meant. I don't know if it was designed to be a genre film. This is with Keanu Reeves in it, but it did very well for a very low budget film. So then they throw another huge budget on top of it, and they make the sequel, and it does very well. I assume it made back its money. But then they go through, and now we're at John Wick number 4, and I'm not sure how well that did in the box office and compared to number 1 or 2. And it goes, you know, again, it goes.
It goes back to right. It just goes back to.
Do we get tired? Yeah.
Yeah. People getting tired? People are tired of going to the movies. People of the cost of going to the movies.
Right. Yeah.
The time of what they're spending, of like availability, like all
past lives. That's what it was about. Yeah.
All that stuff, money and time and cost and value, and ease of seeing the movie, and
Yeah.
and when you're seeing a bit like, I'm sure you can agree, you see a movie with a packed audience and the vibe is different in the theater. If you
Yeah.
go and see, Indiana Jones and the
Yeah.
theater's half full, it's
Yeah.
going to have a different like feel of seeing that movie.
Yeah. And
So,
here's the other thing. For the most part, not always, but for the most part, the overseas box office is also agreeing. I mean, Indiana Jones, a huge franchise for 42 years out there, and it only made $130 million in its opening weekend across the globe. It means that there's something going on there. It means that people were not turned away because it was Indiana Jones. People's minds, people's choices, people's, idea of what they want to watch has changed over the years. There are newer generations, and again, something appeals to my generation is definitely not, and certainly not going to appeal to someone in their 20s
right.
of today. And again, it is interesting. I've talked to a couple of other friends who are in the 20-year-old, 20 to 25-year-old range, and there's a variety of choices of what they liked about Indiana Jones. A lot of them saw it last week. Some of them really didn't like it, and that's also fair enough too. They didn't like it for completely different reasons, which is even more fascinating. But some of them also enjoyed it. It's one of those weird. Again, it's some of it is what is passed down. What I know that my niece and nephew, for example, who are like 10 and 11 and 13, they love Star Wars.
Right.
But only because my brothers were the ones that introduced them, and there are shows and there are things like Star Wars that can be generationally passed down.
Right.
But is something like Indiana Jones dated to this next generation as not as interesting or not as invested? Are they looking? Is what they are entertained in television and film of their young age
Yeah.
so different and so
I would think so.
radically?
I mean, the
You know,
last Indiana Jones was more than 10 years ago. Like some 10 or
yeah,
12-year-old,
15, yeah,
15, yeah, some
yeah.
14-year-old kid doesn't even know, like, whatever, doesn't know who Indiana
Sure,
Jones is.
sure. I mean,
So,
unless their parents passed down and watched it, and that kid could also have had a
right.
very different
But raised on
reflection.
completely different things, raised on complete, they,
Yeah,
whatever, like, not,
sure. Yeah,
their world is not
yeah,
our world, like, whatever.
yeah. So I mean, then you're taking, what would happen if they took a movie from this day and age and played it 40 years from now using the same actors who have aged 40 years? This generation of kids or this generation of young adults is going to flock to go see it. But the generation of kids and young adults in 40 years' time is going to be very radically different. And they will be
Oh,
having the
yeah.
same conversation we are having now as to why aren't people enjoying this, because we loved it when we were
You have to
younger.
watch a movie where it's on a screen. Like, you can't download it into your brain
Brain.
waves.
Yes, yeah,
Like, that's
exactly.
so old school, Grandpa.
Um,
You're like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's
uh,
I just think it's film and watching movies and going to the movies is an ever-changing thing. Will movies ever go away? No, but it is sad that less people are flocking to the box office to go see these big blockbuster films because they know, and they're fine with watching it at home on television in 2 months' time. And there's
Anchorman grew
such
up
an
with Indiana
experience.
Jones being a Lego figure that he played with in a video game. He
Oh
was
yeah,
collecting
oh, that's
bricks.
funny. There you go. Hey, that's
That's how
fine.
he knew.
That's
And that's
cool.
his introduction to Indiana Jones, is a
There
Lego
you go.
character.
There you go. I mean,
Different for everybody.
does that make you appreciate the films, Anchorman? I mean, I assume you've seen Raiders,
It looks
Temple of
so
Doom, and Last
different in
Crusade.
Lego form.
Yeah, yeah. Well, but I'm saying, but there's still this element of the action adventure. I mean, the genre is still action adventure, and we're always going to get an action adventure story in the future, depending on when that next phase of action adventure story arcs
Right.
come through. Technically, John Wick is that action adventure hero of today, where our generation it was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone action adventure, action heroes and all that. And the action hero and the action genre is changing. It's forever changing as we develop younger generations who accept different versions of what they consider action adventure too. So yeah, but it's again, it's an ongoing conversation. I kind of wish Max and Jason were here because
well, we can bring it up next week.
We should bring it up next week, and then we'll probably talk a bit more spoilers on
I think
Indiana Jones
it's just movies in general, like no matter what, not to to get off Indiana Jones, like any
no, but
any movie coming out now
it's a serious
like
conversation
in danger of like, well, okay, I think people are not seeing movies the way they used to. Even some of these sleeper independent films that are in the some of these smaller movies I wanted to see are like in and out like right away. It's like if you don't catch first 2 weeks, you're not going to see like Bo Was Afraid. I wanted to see that in the theaters and I didn't get to see that.
Well, my big thing right now is if I want to see something on IMAX or Dolby Theater, I'm only going to get 1 week to see it because next week the next big movie is going to take and knock it out.
Spot of like being in the bigger theater.
And I am the kind of person who really enjoys seeing the big screen experience, and the big screen experience is not when it's being shipped off to theater number 5 down the hallway in a slightly smaller, slightly less comfortable kind of seating arrangement. A lot of people are fine with that too, but I do want to go see these films before someone spoils a plot line to me,
and which is almost immediately now like online.
Which is
like,
absolutely.
You don't see it in the first night. Like just looking at YouTube, you're going to get someone's opinion of the movie just by like looking at the title of their video or whatever.
Yeah, so. I had Game of Thrones spoiled that way, which it was the death of Joffrey, and I got that spoiled
like,
the morning of.
It says because
it was one of those moments like, God damn it, why? That's when I really shut down from spoilers and even additional trailers for a period of time because I just got so annoyed that I would get the information spoiled. Now it's a matter of I need to rush to get to see it in that first week before it's taken off the presentation I want to see this movie in. Whether it's a Star Wars film or a Marvel film or Indiana Jones or whatever. Even some of the cheesier films that come out that I go with a group of friends, we try to see it in that first week because we are going to get the best experience possible with hopefully a full
an audience that's seeing it the first time.
Yeah,
and
that's
it. Without it being spoiled.
Yeah,
online,
there's something about having fun with
it.
Yeah, there's something about having fun with an audience who's watching a film for the first time or in that first day or so.
Before you could see it for like 2 weeks and still get like water cooler conversations at work of like, oh, did you see this? Oh yeah, I saw that. Like still talking about it.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, someone's coming. Don't talk about the movie.
That's
like,
it. Yeah.
Like they might hear like. Yeah. Now it's just like it's going to be said right away, so or they can find out right away.
Yeah, but again, there's not much else in the news at this point. I'm hoping we'll get some Star Wars news in the coming weeks. There might be, and it was supposed to have aired the other day, but there might be a new trailer for Ahsoka coming up. Nice. I've been hearing a rumor it's very soon, and since we're coming into less than 2 months away, we're probably going to get a second trailer for Ahsoka series coming out. So I'm hoping we'll get the chance to react to that because I haven't been able to react to a lot of trailers because I've been at work when they drop. By the time I get home, it's like everybody's seen it. So so I haven't bothered doing any reactions to some of the trailers recently. But things are going quiet because of the industry strike coming up. For the SAG Awards as well as the writer's strike.
SAG, I know, it's a whole other thing.
So we might actually get the chance to do some reaction trailer videos for some of the upcoming films. I'm hoping we'll get a Ghostbusters trailer soon too, because that comes out.
I see that coming in. I keep seeing like a lot of like video footage of them.
Yeah, well, we've got the poster, so yeah. So I mean, if we get the chance, we'll have a couple of. Did I like Mutt Williams? That's a good question. Mutt Williams was Indiana Jones's son. It didn't bother me. He bothered me at first, but upon rewatch, it didn't bother me in the sense of performance. I'm not a huge fan of the actor who plays him.
Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, yeah. He seems like a bit of a smart ass to me. And so I'm
Then you
kind
put
of
Shia
like,
LaBeouf and Ezra Miller in like a buddy comedy
yeah,
movie.
I know, yeah, that would piss the hell out of me because I hate both of them. But
I know. I'm saying like they put him in a buddy comedy movie, and the movie gets
yeah,
like
that's it. Yeah,
the movie never gets
absolutely.
made
I'm
because
sure
they hate
someone
each
will like
other.
it, but it won't be me.
I won't work with him. I won't work with him. They won't work with
Yeah,
each other, but they have to shoot everybody. They have to
yeah,
shoot each other out like on different days, so
yeah.
it doesn't come together. Anyways.
I guess to answer that question though, if do I like the character? The character didn't bother me. I liked who that character was for that time period, but it was interesting kind of thing. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, guys, I think we might call it a day here. It looks like Max is definitely not able to make it on the stream today. That's fine. We will bring another stream next week. We're going to do a reaction video for episode 3 of Secret Invasion. We'll drop that on Wednesday. I'm also going to do another unboxing. I've got a couple of Micro Machine toys. I'm definitely going to unbox this week since I know I've got some quiet time ahead. And I want to unbox them and put some of them on the shelf. So keep an eye out during the week if you're watching this. I'll drop a day and afternoon, early evening to do a live unboxing of a couple of new little toys, Star Wars spaceships,
Nice.
Micro Machines. I love the design of those toys. They're so cool. And they keep them in scale with each other too. So in other words, if an X-Wing is next to a TIE fighter, it's in proper scale. If the X-Wing is next to the Millennium Falcon, it's also in scale. They're not going to be building Super Star Destroyers or anything like that.
Right.
But it is cool to have this range of ships of those, Star ships in a scale, and they're pretty cost efficient compared to that's out there. So keep an eye on that soon, because I will do this unboxing of this next batch of toys I've picked up over the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And Elijah, thanks for joining us. And guys, have a great day. Thank you in the chat for anyone who responded. And if anybody has any thoughts or answers who watch this later, please leave a note in comments, because I'm kind of curious as to your thoughts on how do you perceive movies of today? Are we being kind of spread too thin? Are we getting too many choices? Are we getting tired of some of these choices? Do we think that COVID has set us home in our chairs and made us feel comfortable of watching a movie at home in the chairs? And we'll catch you all later. All right. May the force be with you as well. Okay, guys. Catch you all later. Thank you.
Nice.